Hello, it's Brad Laurie or BlockchainBrad, and today we're speaking about all things Bounce Finance. And to do that, we have the founder of this very exciting project that's just coming about right now. His name is Jack Liu. Jack, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Jack, and I'm the founder of Bounce Finance.
Mate, we've known each other for a very long time. So another thing for everyone to know is that Jack has been the lead researcher, or one of the key researchers for NGC, which has been a prominent and well-known venture capital firm in the industry for some time, for many years. And I have personally been a colleague in the sense of research and known him for that time. So Jack, it is an honor to speak with you. And obviously your support for DeFi is really second to none as well. And we're going to unpack that right now as we explore what you founded and why. So Jack, in transparency, it's always also important to let everyone know I have not bought BOT or BOT. My intention here is obviously to support Jack as a colleague, despite having that relationship where we have known each other for some time. Now, Bounce Finance, Jack, everyone's sort of talking about this right now, especially in the sphere of DeFi. It's known as the Decentralized Auction Platform, and you are big on transparency, and you're certainly, as we talked about pre-interview, willing to really go for it and let us know everything. You have a lot to say about what you're building and perhaps other startups as well. So Jack, do you want to start with those terms, Decentralized Auction Platform, and what it means?
Yeah, definitely. So I start Bounce Finance last August. So at that time, DeFi is getting pretty hot because of all the liquidity mining stuff. But when you are talking about building a real infrastructure for DeFi, you need to think about what kind of pieces are missing there. So everyone is working on DEXs like Uniswap and lending and borrowing like Aave, but there's one big missing piece, which is auction. And decentralized auction actually facilitate a lot of DeFi component. I mean, let's take a traditional example. I mean, you have like all sorts of traditional asset, and there's also a big piece in the traditional finance, which is traditional auction. No matter you're talking about auction of real goods or auction of like some shares, stuff like that, it's necessary. And also, basically the foundation of DeFi is mainly smart contract, and smart contract basically only have two main features. One is automatic execution, and the other is contingency. Mm-hmm. So where do those two features come in? I mean, I think it perfectly fit into auction space. You basically eliminate the middleman through the smart contract, and so that's where I originate my idea, and the core concept for Bounce is basically when you look at Uniswap, it provides infinite liquidity, which is great. But in this crypto world, we do have scarcity of resources. We have limited access to a lot of tokens, or a lot of people have tokens. They don't know how to sell it off, whether due to liquidity or it's because of some lockups. Right. So we do this. We do need this intermediary for people to basically auction off those kind of things. Yeah, but I prefer to do it in decentralized format. That's why I found Bounce and start my journey in DeFi.
Right. And obviously bootstrapping this wouldn't have been easy if you're going through the route of trying to get support, especially when, you had arguably started when it was a tough time in the market. So do you want to touch on that, what you went through in terms of just the rigors of starting and making sure that you were iterating with to the success that you've had now?
So yeah, when I started this decentralized auction idea, I was quite nervous because I haven't seen any other people doing it. Look at other DeFi, and the foundation are quite similar because even you do like another DEX, you have like this Uniswap, which you can basically get suggestions from or look at how they're doing, but it's like a blank paper in front of me, like decentralized auction. No one has done that before. People get used to like centralized exchange, centralized auctions like CoinList, but technical wise, I didn't know whether it's possible or not. So I got a lot of advice from some DeFi friends, and it turns out it worth to give a try. So I started to work with a few smart contract developers, and we start to explore. And we actually we start with the simplest one, which is fixed swap, which people offer a bunch of token with a fixed price, and anyone can come to take it. It's the most commonly used, and it's basically it's the simplest option. And then I gradually start to explore the more advanced, like English auction, Dodge auction, and COBIT auction. It sounds quite easy, but it's not, because smart contract has limitations from computation to storage. In many cases, for auction, we do need a large number of computations. So how do you work in this limited resources on-chain world? It's a very difficult thing. So we actually have to redesign. And we basically follow the same rule as traditional auction, but we have to redesign some rules. For example, for COBIT auction, the max participant is 1,000, and that there's a reason for it, because we pressure tested everything, and we think 1,000, more than 1,000, there will be some problem with some on-chain smart contract stuff.
Right.
So.
Okay.
These kind of things are quite, we actually experienced a lot since August, and now we've built 9 types of auctions across ERC20 and NFTs, and basically it's live on Bounce. So this is technology-wise. From the non-tech wise, it's kind of very interesting too, because
absolutely.
I actually came across basically investors. And also we launch and we receive feedback, and a lot of people know there are quite a lot of scams going on Bounce, because this platform is open to anyone. So some people take advantage of this feature and create some pools that are not healthy. We had some problems, but we're finding ways to figuring out.
Right.
So
and Jack, let's talk about that. Let's get real with this, because we know that Uniswap also has the same problem. We know that universally in the past with the ICO model that we certainly were both researching with regard to reading white papers constantly. Remember, we were doing that. You still see a plethora of scams emerging, potentially, or even questionable startups, because it's so easy to mint, to launch a token. So how are you going to try and work in that, with knowing that, given that you mentioned that with the entrance or the participants of some of these launches, that it'll be capped so that you can sustain the integrity of the tech, so then it's not going to burden it. Because obviously people are worried that we'll see a continuation of more problematic launches where they're just bypassing quality and just going for the quick bucks through an easy launch.
So in terms of scams, it's a philosophical issue. I've spoke to a lot of people. Let's say today there are 2 pools launched on Bounce. They're exactly the same, but with 2 different tokens. How do you distinguish whether a token is scam or not? There's no rules in crypto to define that. Even, it's not good to say, but even some top 100 tokens, I personally consider them scams, but they are like worth 100 million. Should I ban them? Because my personal view is it's a scam.
Yeah. Of
course, if I ban them, that means this platform suddenly becomes centralized.
Exactly.
If I ban anyone, so I didn't do that, but I tried very hard to solve this issue. So I actually came up with 2 solutions to solve the scams issue on decentralized platform. The first is we build a second branch, which is called Bounce Certified, for higher level projects who are running, who want to do token sale. They can apply, and token holders can basically certify them. Certify means basically you get the priority, and you can list your token in this special website so that it doesn't confuse people from other pools. And the second way is I really think I really like the piece of Bounce Decentralized Auction, since we've actually built so far I haven't seen any other people doing, have done the work that Bounce Decentralized Auction has done. So I think it's a good, useful toolbox And I still think we shouldn't go with the direction of being a token sell platform. It's just too boring to me. Because having a VC background, I know projects have a lot of difficulty raising money. Imagine you raised a lot of money and now you're launching, you have to beg people running token sell platform and bribe them to just get advanced listing to advanced public sale. That shouldn't work that way.
Yeah, so you're not an ICO platform, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I really think there should be a day which people can just take any tools, auction tools from Bounce, and they can just configure that in their own website and run their own auctions. That's what I'm going to do this year. I will turn Bounce Decentralized from like a auction platform into an auction toolbox, so that people can use these type of auctions.
Got it. So obviously, Jack, certified is really important in the context of what you built, and people perhaps need to look into that more, because that's giving you some sort of a process to make sure that the quality is reflected in what essentially does get launched or is in part of the auction process.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of decentralized auction, it's not something that continuously happen. I mean, of course, there are a lot of crypto projects, but if a platform keep have one new project on daily or weekly basis, that's not healthy. At least for me, it's not healthy. That's what I'm not, and that wasn't my intention. Because projects should only run auction if they have some product and if the project is healthy. But I just don't believe there are that many projects that are ready for auction. So this service in DeFi, people should separate them from Uniswap, because this is not an exchange. I mean, have you ever? I mean, now the exchange have like one launchpad project on daily basis. Like at least it's not what it should be.
Makes a lot of sense. So you're not a direct swap style platform, and like we've seen with Uniswap, but certainly you're working together with them in certain aspects, as we'll talk about. But you're also nothing like the ICO platforms of the past as well. You are very specifically in that auction platform realm, and in DeFi specifically. So one of the sort of buzzwords that comes out when we explore what you're doing is OpenFi. So do you want to touch on that? Because that's something that a lot of people don't talk about yet. But in reality, it's about making sure that it's a viable platform for the future, so businesses can actually emerge from this.
So I think my takeaway from DeFi is, I think everyone should work together. Our goal should be, we build a pipeline, we build a production line. Like anyone can take any services for free and easily. But now everyone is doing their own stuff, and people actually copy and paste a lot of existing project, which, I mean, it's a waste of resources. I think people should work with each other and build like a very solid DeFi foundation, so that new business can come to use. I mean, for example, I think Uniswap is basically the leading player, right, in the DeFi swap space. So what's the point of building another Uniswap? I mean, why don't they spend the effort creating a new idea in DeFi that no one has done that before? I mean, so this kind of thinking, I haven't seen this kind of thinking in a lot of DeFi developers' mind. I mean, probably because of too much money is there and people want to grab some, or like, I just don't understand why people keep copying and pasting others. And
Jack, let's talk about that. I can hear some hints in what you're saying. So we know that we've seen a lot of copycats in the open source scenario, and there's a very strong sort of debate about this because of the nature of open source. We've seen this even with Uniswap itself, and we've seen this with Curve Finance, and it goes on and on and on. So what are your thoughts on that, given that in some instances we have big backers really supporting the original open source code, And then you see, community launches in another respect, and then they're backed by and supported by certain parties that surprise us as well with a curveball, or no pun intended. So what to do there? I mean, how do you stop these copycats, or even can you?
So I think I think a lot of copycats comes because of liquidity mining. I mean, liquidity mining is it has good and bad things. The good thing is it basically ignited the entire DeFi market. I mean, that's the truth. Everyone knows. But on the other side, when you have a lot of liquidity mining, that means you can copy and paste the project. Normally, in traditional industry, for example, if you copy or paste a project, no one will care because there's no money and no user. I mean, you don't have money. How do you do marketing? Exactly. But in crypto, it's different. Everyone has Ethereum in their wallet. And when this guy say, okay, I'm launching this, I'm straight up copy of Uniswap, and here you go. We have liquidity mining, and APY is like 1,000%. So people suddenly come because, I mean, the truth is everyone want to grab some free money. So they can quickly accumulate the so-called user base. But those user base are not user base. They are money grabbers. So that's why when you see a lot of liquidity mining being like rise and die away and phase away. So you do see those kind of events happening. That's why I'm personally, I think liquidity mining is a good marketing tool, but for DeFi innovation wise, I don't consider liquidity mining as a healthy stuff.
Or sustainable comparatively to the other core platforms that are building. And Jack, it's really interesting you say that, because when I wrote notes about your background, obviously the very respectable Andre Cronje or Cronje, I'm not never sure how to pronounce his surname, comes up in the conversation because we've both known him for a very long time. Back in the NGC and crypto briefing days, and he was always a staunch advocate for code first, and then everything else second, as you know. And he was always quite averse to the speculative aspects and the gambling that was happening in crypto. So that's just the reality. We've known that for a long time. But then you now see him supporting you, which is really exciting, to be honest, because I think he also sees a lot of problems with copycats and with more importantly, those that are trying to establish pseudo or startups that are designed more for quick bucks and early exits rather than the long-term game. So what are your thoughts there on Andre? You're mentioning liquidity mining, but his support for you and very openly making sure that platforms like you continue to exist.
So basically, he provides me a lot of confidence. Like he's the when I came up with decentralized auction idea, and there's no one I can basically get confidence from. I basically went to him, asked him, I explained the simple idea, and he said it might work. So that actually provides me a lot of confidence. I would say he actually support me spiritually for that. And but I mean, we spoke about liquidity mining, and both of us were like, oh, it's basically, I mean, it actually ignites your project. It doesn't. It's I think it's the best metaphor for its drugs. Like when you take it, you feel so happy, and like there will be one day you will be like fucked. So yeah, I think liquidity mining is exactly the DeFi drugs.
Got it. And so basically, it's DeFi on steroids in that respect, and it really, like you said, it really provides that super fuel, that rocket fuel for some startups. But you're suggesting, from what I'm hearing, that there is that question of sustainability there, as opposed to making sure that legit startups that are long term are really supported.
Yeah, but there's one point I want to make. So basically, I think all DeFi projects should realize one thing: you can start with liquidity mining, but you can never go liquidity mining for long term. Everyone has a turning point. For Bounce, we actually have liquidity mining at the beginning. Our liquidity mining is basically that if you use the platform, it will reward you token based on number of transactions. It's different from providing Uniswap liquidity, but the idea is similar. But after 2 months, when we have a user base, when I see a lot of auctions going on naturally, I think we've reached a point which we can turn liquidity mining off, because the incentive is to get more people to use the platform. And when we see that enough people using it, I'm pretty confident that we've reached a turning point. So our governance basically voted to pause liquidity mining, and we went into a deflationary phase. So right now, Bounce token is in a deflationary mode, which transaction fees are accumulated and used to purchase that and burn the token. So we've come through this cycle. It's tough initially, since when you stop liquidity mining, definitely there are some people will just leave to those platforms where money is from. But after several months of deflation model, I truly feel that everyone needs to experience it, not only for me, but for everyone. Like
Jack,
Uniswap.
that's super interesting that you're saying that, because basically you're inferring that liquidity mining is a great mechanism or a great tool to help kickstart the success or the viability, because it brings in a lot of the incentive is there initially, but once you turn it off, that's the real test then of build on and see what happens. So you're in that phase now. So it's interesting, your perspective on the liquidity mining value proposition. But I wanted to ask you also, what about the risks of conflict of interest for you, for example, because you play that dual role and you are very busy as a researcher for let's say half the time. So given that you have a role to play and you're busy researching various startups right across the spectrum of crypto and blockchain, how do you sort of manage that, Jack, when you separate that from the equation when you're supporting and the founder of something like Bounce Finance?
So basically, I work for VC, and I think I've spoke to a lot of teams, and I know what people are thinking. Like many teams, it's not a very easy thing to open a startup. Like you need to raise money, and the money you raise, you actually need to do a lot of things in crypto. Like marketing is a big piece. And also you need to think about, okay, if I launch a token, I need to provide liquidity to the market. In traditional company never have to allocate all the money they raised into so many areas, but in crypto, everyone has to do. So, and I just look at like platform like CoinList or other token sale platform. They take fees from people and for just launch the public sale. So I was like, I feel very sorry. So and there shouldn't be a step in. I think there shouldn't exist a token sale platform in this space. Everyone should just be able to use auction tools to do themselves. And also, I being an investor, and also I raised some money for Bounce. I really think that for a project, investor is not only putting money in you. You should really use your investors. Like for Bounce, we got money from Blockchain Capital and Parafi. Those guys actually, look at our governance and they participate in us, and we have like calls, something like that. They help us to link resources, like Blockchain Capital introduced us to Stanley from Aave, and so we're doing some integration with them. Help and networking is definitely important. So I think my VC background definitely helps me with Bounce on how I can raise money, and also how from a project side, how should I use the VC networks.
Yes, what a great answer. And also, what I think we can be even more transparent about is that just because the title is NGC doesn't imply a specific platform, as we've always, discussed privately and always as the NGC portfolio has shown, is a lot of the time there was a strong focus right from the outset on a lot that was going on in Ethereum, because you did have that agnostic position despite the title of the VC. Now, one of the things that was interesting also is that you mentioned in discussion prior into the interview about the prospects of vertical integrations with Uniswap. And, I think that's important because there's not a competitor aspect here. And you also mentioned something important, Jack, and that's that you're not really a proponent of having platforms that are just for token launches. And neither Uniswap nor you specifically do that. I mean, obviously there's a swap aspect, but in many respects, that's just a swap technology. And in yours, you're going one step further with the auction. So what's the relationship there specifically moving forward with Uniswap?
So basically we've spent 5 months now. I think Bounce Decentralized has a solid foundation for decentralized auctions, and we've covered all types of auctions. And so when I finished the last type of auction, I was thinking, if Bounce is a individual project that separate from other DeFi, then it provides barrier for people to use it, because one thing I found is a lot of projects, when after raise on Bounce, they have to create a pool on Uniswap to provide liquidity, because that's like a production line, which I mentioned before. So I was thinking, why don't I just integrate with Uniswap so that before the auction, people can actually decide amount of money to put for liquidity mining, and let smart contract do all the work, and it actually provides investors some safety, because it prevents rug pulls. Because when you decide how much token to put in liquidity mining, once you raise, you cannot touch those tokens. Those tokens will be managed by smart contract. So we obviously the first thing we do is integrate with Uniswap, since it's most straightforward. But and after we integrate with Uniswap, the second integration will be with lending and borrowing. Since for a lot of advanced auction, not like the fixed swap. For example, for Dodge auction, some auctions runs for like 2 days. That means all the participants, they need to put their bid into the contract for 2 days. When you put your Ethereum in there for 2 days, of course, you can generate some interest. So that's why we're going to integrate with Aave to basically help people to generate interest while they participate in auction. And those kind of behavior, I think, really, I think it brings integrity to the entire DeFi space. And I mean, we don't need like confirmation from Uniswap or Aave to do it. Because they have good API, but I think those type of integration is very healthy, and that's where all platforms should go, in my opinion.
It's really interesting, and it's almost like the Bounce Bay equivalent to eBay in the sense of Amazon or eBay, but in a DeFi context. So, how do you think VCs look at this, Jack? Given that obviously there are backers even for the Bounce finance platform, when you're advocating for open source, you're advocating for open auctions like you're building, and more transparency and more distribution, just more fair access, because we've heard the discussion of FairLaunch a great deal in the last 6 months. So do you think that VCs more generally are proponents of this because they do like to get that early piece of the pie?
So I think there are 2 points to make. The first point is I just don't believe there is a thing called FairLaunch, because just remember, everything comes with a cost. When you say FairLaunch, you are basically saying, okay, this token is sold for this price for anyone. That's not called FairLaunch because think about it. If your token, if you haven't got any backers, that means you're either putting in your own money for a while to sustain your project to reach a point that you can do a token sale, or you're basically copying others. I mean, it takes 2 days to copy Uniswap, and you can do a fair launch. It doesn't cost anything.
Right.
And is it really fair? And also, I mean, there has to be like early investors, because I mean, people need resources to work on, and people need support. It's not like shameful to give investors with cheaper price if they really provide you with a lot of help. I mean, for public people, I mean, some participant in public sale also provide you help, but you just cannot mess up the pattern. And also another point is basically, I think VCs, they pro DeFi because sometimes they facilitate their portfolio projects, like for Bounce. Some of our investors, when they invest, they know some of their portfolio projects going to use our decentralized auction.
Right. So exactly. So it's use space.
They have to have some our token to basically either support their project when they launch on Bounce, or basically control some governance to have a say in the development. So, I mean, I don't want to say everyone is selfish, but there are some elements in every single part in crypto. I mean, people are selfish to some extent.
Yes.
I mean,
So Jack, sorry to interrupt, but you've had a lot of experience working with other VCs. Obviously, it's part of the role of the researcher in NGC. In that context, there's often alliances simply by default according to the grading and the standards that each of them uphold. So do you feel that sometimes there are like grade A alliances, whether that be in the Silicon Valley or be in other regions of the globe? I'm not trying to suggest it's a bad thing, but do you think it exists so that they can support each other in a more of a closed environment, ironically, despite DeFi, in building out DeFi or even Web3 or even open finance?
So I definitely think, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, there is a alliance, either visible or non-visible, because if you look at all the big DeFi guys, I mean, they know each other. They've worked with each other for a long time, and they're backed by some famous VCs in San Francisco. I have to say, like in this DeFi world, Asian money wasn't the priority. I think it's Western money who ignited the DeFi space, and that's why you see projects. I mean, really good ones all come from Western. They're non-Chinese and non-Asian, but for Asian is very good at. I mean, I have to say, like, not copy and pasting, but basically productivity is quite efficient. Basically, you see a lot of like new DeFi platform, either aggregator or copy of others. I mean, some Asian team can produce one farm per day, so that 7 farms people can liquidity mine. I mean, I'm not saying it's meaningful, but you can see the power of Asian developers play in this DeFi world.
And Jack, that's a big statement that you've put out there as well. I would sort of play the devil's advocate and suggest that perhaps it isn't so regional or as finite as that, but even in Europe, for example, and even some aspects, some regions of Asia, there's quite a lot of innovation happening. Not to suggest that there isn't in Silicon Valley. Absolutely. You're there, you've seen and you continue to see that innovation. But you are also hinting at something a little more concerning, and that is when there's copycats and when there's those opportunists, they do seem to be prevalent in Asia also. So that, we're definitely paying attention to what you're saying with all your experience. Do you also concede, though, that with the likes, for example, other platforms emerging, that there are some legitimate innovations and technologies that are emerging across the globe? And also in that converse argument, do you also see that there's opportunities also in Silicon Valley capitalizing on the scenario, maybe not so much in copycats, but certainly in other ways?
So I think the Western VCs, so they have a style that if your idea is new and it's possible to realize, they can make back very quickly. So they're not conservative coming to the new ideas. And if you think about it, in crypto, there aren't many new ideas. That's like in crypto, even you screw the coin market cap, the top, for example, 500. I think we can easily categorize them into 3 categories. There are so many projects doing similar stuff. But whenever new idea coming out, I think Western VCs make the bet the quickest. But I mean, I think, I mean, I don't want to put it into regional, since I think everyone is under quarantine and people are basically, there's no region. The region is Zoom. So, right. I think, but I think for new ideas, top VCs can smell it faster and make the bet. And like for auction, when I reach out to them, I mean, we had a simple product, but they can respond very fast because, you know, those guys, they've invested in liquidity mining, they've invested in lending and borrowing, but they have never seen a decentralized auction platform. So that basically got them excited, because it basically completely separate us from other projects. We do not have like AMAs or like other similar stuff. So that definitely helps.
You're not trying to pump through attention. You're not trying to pump through, offer these common and organized marketing strategies. We do see, I mean, obviously this is a free interview, so that's case in point there. But we've also seen tweets come out from people like Synthetix, previous founder with Kain, who's also supporting your project, say that long-term backing is really important. And obviously he is a proponent of the Silicon Valley top-tier investment approach as well, and he being an angel in many instances. So what are your thoughts on this, Jack, with regard to long-term investments, when here, in your case, you did have those backers and you had the backers of some of the long-term blockchain VCs as well?
So I think we definitely get a lot of, I think for long-term, people need to separate, people need to clarify one thing. Even an investor dump your token. I mean, let's be very straightforward. Even investor dump your token, but if he's willing to help you in any case, even after he dumps your token, he's a long-term investor. Because in crypto, it's very difficult for you to not realize profit if your token is like 20x or 30x from. But I mean, I think if an investor that's willing to help you and getting you resources, answer your questions, I mean, on daily, basically, whenever you ask for, I mean, you just shouldn't care whether they hold your token anymore or not. I mean, the bad investors, basically, they just dump your token and leave.
Right. So in that situation, Jack, can you give us a bit more transparency about the backers? Because obviously they're reputable, and they're in that top tier section as well. So how do we know that? I mean, it's interesting you say that it's really about support, not about token holding. But wouldn't you argue that you'd expect them to hold at least some of the token / auction, which we'll talk about, for the long term? And can you tell us more about what was involved when you say backer?
So basically, let's take Bounce example. So when they invest in Bounce, of course, they know their token is valuable for votings, right? So of course, a lot of them hold token and they participate in voting because it guides the direction of the platform. I mean, although some of them basically realize profit a little bit, but that's understandable since they need to take their principal back. But most of the investors are holders, and they participate in our auction, and they help us with a lot of stuff. Like you mentioned Kain, and I personally spoke to him, and one of the major reasons he invested was Synthetix, they have Synthetix DAO and also some foundation token, which need to be auctioned off in the future. I mean, instead of them doing a whole piece for auction, they can basically work with us, and we can help them to build customized auction contracts to do that. So investor comes with service, they also come with needs. So and all our investors, the service they provide is basically link up resources and monetary, and also help us to basically guide us using their experience. And their needs is basically if they have a project which is decent and want to do auction, we have to help them. So
I got it. And so there's a mutual benefit here for the practicalities of both parties, and also you want to continue building the ecosystem that is DeFi with legitimate platforms and startups. Now, what about use case? Let's get into the specifics there, Jack. You talked about things like competitive swaps and even NFTs. So what are the primary use cases here?
Okay, so for Bounce, I would say there are a few. So the first one is basically most obvious one is token sale. And the powerful thing for Bounce, which separate from other, I wouldn't call Bounce a token sale platform. When people say Bounce is token sale, I become worried because it's a decentralized auction protocol, which it allows anyone to open any types of auction at any time with any ERC20 asset right now. So the obvious number one application is token sales. Either you're a project or individual want to issue your own token, you can auction it off through Bounce. And the second one is OTC. So some people, they have a lot of tokens that are not liquid on exchange, and they want to liquidate them. So they create an auction to auction them off. And we've seen activity like auctioning some Uniswap LP token on Bounce. So that's an interesting feature. None of the exchanges provide trading pairs for Uniswap LP token.
No, that's true.
So that they do it on Bounce. And the third piece is for NFTs, I think it's a nice addition because people in crypto get used to one platform, which if you do trading, it's basically Binance and Huobi, and if you do like NFTs, basically OpenSea and Rarible. So for Bounce, I actually want to experiment to see whether people like to take their NFT out of those platforms and manage themselves, and I think that's a cool idea. So we did a decentralized auction for the NFTs. And but it turns out many people didn't want to do it, and they think it's too complex, and also some of them didn't even know what the token information, token contract address, which obviously shows they didn't know the underlying technology. They just have fun with it.
Yeah, and obviously it's experimental still. It's early days for NFTs being launched on things like this auction platform as well, Jack. And obviously the narrative of NFT is continuing.
But we do have people auction the financial NFTs. One example is the DeFi team 88 mile per hour. Their token is MPH. They auction one bond NFT through our protocol. So I think it's quite cool. NFT in DeFi is just like a certificate. It's a representation. It's like a check you have in hands representing how much money or the underlying asset.
So Jack, in that sense, you're talking about all this innovation happening, and the bot token, which will change in the migration, which we'll talk about. Are you concerned at all about regulation? Because you mentioned before you don't want to be known as any sort of token launch platform, and we've also seen all that negativity around previous launch pads, particularly with regard to ICO eras. Are you concerned at all about how to navigate through these challenging waters and times when it comes to anything that enables the launch essentially of an auction?
So for the Bounce decentralized, we will soon open source all the code and basically turn into a toolbox. So it's no longer like an auction platform, since anyone can just take the tools out of the toolbox. So there's not much regulation there, since it's all code. But for the Bounce certified, which is similar to a token sale platform, but not basically we do, because everyone has to do KYC through that platform, and also we ban people from accessing in certain countries like United States. So that definitely helps. I mean, we basically embedded the KYC within the platform, so that it's not project they need to go do KYC and then come back to us. So we can set up the KYC ourselves, so that project does not need to do it, and it provides safety for both parties.
Right.
And I think regulation definitely. I think there will be more regulations to DeFi, but I think overall it's healthy.
That's a good answer. And obviously the certified aspect adds almost like a quasi, I wouldn't say centralized, but more quasi controls, so that you can have some of that security built in.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So Jack, some of the things that you wrote recently, I wanted to talk to you about. You wrote these on Twitter. You wrote things like anyone can do a fixed swap. And you wanted to focus on these specific auctions that you've mentioned in the discussion, things like sealed bid, Dutch, English auction, random selection auctions. So is that the agenda, is moving away from just the randomness of fixed swap and really focus on what the benefits are of these auctions?
So to be honest, like I think the fixed swap, it's not an auction. It's basically the very simplest auction. We start off to validate our first assumption, that's for decentralized auctions. But I never want people to use fixed swap as like a common auction tool, but most people do that. And there are a lot of copies of fixed swap and into other token sale platform. But auction really is a price discovery. And I think for those people who really understand auction, there are a whole bunch of types of auction, like sealed and bid auction, English and Dutch auction, for people to implement and find better price discovery. So I want to get those auction into more exposure, so that people do not just like set a price and auction off things that based on first come first serve. It's not healthy, and I mean it's just too straightforward. In my opinion, and also I will be very happy to see some competitors start to build out the more advanced auction tools, since whenever you go to a token sale platform now, the only thing they offer is fixed swap.
Yeah,
and it's not difficult to do, but I think it shouldn't be used. It shouldn't be used for auction when it comes to people's mind.
Yes, well said again. So Jack, another thing you've said also, because you like to say it how it is, you've always been forthright, which we appreciate. You said that Bounce Certified will never list a project within a few days of domain name registration or straight up copycat. Jack, I have to say, I read that as a bit of a dig, a bit of a nuance there to certain startups. So do you want to continue on that, elaborate a bit more on what you're actually saying, who you're talking about?
So basically, for me, I think auction is only useful if the project has reached to a milestone which they can go public with confidence, not playing pump and dumps. So I mean, I think auction isn't something that can happen in the market on a daily basis, because if you think about, if there's one project per day, that's 365 new token project in a year. I mean, for me, that's quite a lot of projects, and probably only 50 of them are worth doing. and probably only 50 of them can be qualified to do auction. So I think if you talk about this token sale platform, you shouldn't look away that, there's new project every day. I can join it and I can participate. Okay, 50x. I mean, that's if that happens, that means either there's some dodgy things in play underneath it, or this platform is just being super lucky. Like,
well, let's talk about that, Jack, because luck doesn't really exist, in the financial world when it comes, not when it comes to a lot of the back-end engineering of crypto. There's a lot of work that goes into marketing, as you know. There's a lot of work that goes into building real tech, which should always be paramount with the teams that are legitimate for the long term. So 50x repeated, 20x repeated, in these market conditions now, that's quite extraordinary. And even if it's 100x, that is a wow factor, and it gets a lot of attention simply for those who are really pushing for price or pursuing price. So what's going on there? If there are startup platforms doing this and achieving these kinds of numbers now, how are they doing it?
So let's make a comparison. So for for normal project, if you have some idea in crypto, so these are the following steps you should do. Basically, you experiment with your team, and if you think it's very legitimate, you go to VCs, right? You get your first money to either build a prototype or keep developing. That should be the normal process. And then after you reach a milestone and you launch your product, and you want to use auction as a marketing or raise from the public so that you have public supporters, that's where auction should come. And then after the auction, you can basically list your token on centralized or decentralized exchanges. So, I mean, in traditional market, it works the same way. You go to VCs, you work very hard, and then you go IPO and stuff like that.
Right.
But what happened after DeFi is probably 8 out of 10 projects, either anonymous or they have like a web page. Web page is not a product. I mean, anyone can do web page, and then they just go straight to public sale or auction. I'm not saying there are some exceptions, like Hijik. They just do a public sale and using bounding curve, and they just launch. Those type of anonymous founders are very rare to find. Most of the projects are just basically, if they go straight up with public sale, as I said, I have a lot of question in it.
Well, we're going to talk about this.
If they didn't have a product and they go for public sale, what do you expect? Like, have you ever seen a project that doesn't have a product go straight up to IPO? So it's impossible.
Yes, few understand that. I mean, let's not even talk about that incident, but we certainly have seen questionable launches in many respects across the board, Jack. And we can elaborate a little bit more about perhaps those competitors or any copycats when it comes to code. But right now, I want to talk about the state of your platform right now. So what is the UX, the UI like? Because you are live through Ethereum, and from my understanding is that you're in testnet phase for others.
Yes. So basically, we currently support Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. And basically, all types of auctions we've built is live on the platform. Anyone can go and use it. The current format it looks a little bit like eBay. You create an auction, you will have control of this auction pool, and you have a designated URL, so people can go straight to your interface and do auction with you. But we're doing Polkadot. So we launch our Polkadot testnet, and we put the fixed swap and seal bid auction onto the testnet since the parachain isn't live. And we got a grant from Web3, so we can. We're thinking to support parachain auction, which is coming in March. And one good thing about Polkadot is for a digital auction project, one feature Polkadot offers, they can track your transaction and monitoring the activities embedded in the transaction, which means when you make a bet into any auction, you no longer need to manually claim your token after the auction finishes. Polkadot, basically the transaction, you will receive your token automatically after the auction, the event ends. It's quite meaningful to us, and I think that's like the most meaningful feature for Polkadot that coming to a decentralized auction.
That's interesting. So are you a supporter of the multi-chain agenda, in that do you recognize from all of your experience that there's certainly validity in the parity tech teams and what Polkadot are trying to do, especially in the light of all the DeFi work that is being done with Bounce Finance?
So I think we want to cover most chains. And the reason is, if you are building a public chain, there will be your ecosystem. And I think auction is necessary for any ecosystem. So we want to basically build our toolbox on all major chains. And that's the idea. But if Polkadot can finally be realized, it's even simpler, because Polkadot basically provides this infrastructure which allow any people to cross-chain, either for asset or some other event. And I think it's quite meaningful. And people, as I said, people shouldn't like call a project a Polkadot ecosystem project. That's quite, if someone or project come to you and say they're Polkadot eco, for me, it doesn't make any sense, because Polkadot is essentially linking all the chains together. In the future, if you are on Ethereum network, and when Ethereum network become basically a parachain for Polkadot, all Ethereum project will be Polkadot ecosystem.
And that's a huge statement that I think we need to frame, because that's where the layer 0 to layer 1 context comes in, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And also, I think it's a waste of resources for any single project to control a bit of parachain, and I think it will not happen, since it's quite expensive to be a parachain. I think it's a public chain competition, because if you want to connect with all the Polkadot parachains, you need to be one of them. And for a project like DeFi, for us, I think we can just use parachain, which is EVM-Compatible in the future, and just build a Polkadot version. It's not technical wise, I think it's not difficult to do for all Ethereum live projects, but for some project which want to build their own parachain, I think it's not necessary.
It's a very interesting thing you're saying, because that's where the composability and the interoperability of these two core platforms become relevant. And in the future, I think people will be less maxi. I really do, because it'll just become more proof that there is that compatibility built in to the future of these two platforms.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why there is a huge misunderstanding about the so-called Polkadot ecosystem project. I think most people use this name to just get marketing or grab people's attention. It's not a meaningful statement, to be honest.
So what about the core parachains, though? You see them emerge, by name. So that's when we start to talk about the tinkering on the layer 0, which are the parachains themselves. And you mentioned that Ethereum could technically be that as well. So isn't there some integrity, though, in the term parachain in the context of startup and in the context of actually having something that could be a viable business or a viable entity in its own right? So
if you like dig into the process of parachain auction, you basically it's a little bit like a startup. So you need to raise fund for your parachain auction. So you need to raise money for people to support you, and you will take the money and basically enter into the parachain auction. And for a normal project, like for a project which, if you're a DeFi project, it's not meaningful to do it, because if your chain only offers, for example, lending and borrowing, or like Uniswap DEXs, I mean, why it should exist in a parachain which only offers these applications? So it should be like organizational basic setup, which your parachain has a lot of to bring, like DeFi, like Ethereum. If Ethereum becomes a parachain, everyone will just be benefit from it. So I think it shouldn't be a project event. It should be like an organizational event.
It's really interesting. I mean, I always love talking about these kinds of things with you because you have a very unique and transparent perspective. And Jack, what about, your just overall bullishness, let's say, to use the crypto term, on those two platforms? I mean, do you see these both forging ahead and doing well?
Yeah, I think Polkadot and Ethereum, I think Ethereum, DeFi actually brings life Ethereum. I think Ethereum will be a very good financial infrastructure. That's like very certain until today. And I'm pretty bullish on that as well. But for Polkadot, I think there will be more things happening on Polkadot. When all the parachain are being auctioned, I think it will be very interesting to see what kind of thing can be done between all the parachains, like between, for example, Ethereum and also other chains. Like you can swap asset. I mean, that only brings benefit to DeFi because people always project even start to say they're cross-chain DeFi, but how can you cross it? You just manually build a bridge and build two contracts on two chains, and you manually control the station. It's not like a cross chain. It's basically people play in your own empire. So I think Polkadot will really solve the cross chain problem.
That's super interesting. Yeah, thank you, Jack, for that explanation. Now, congratulations also on just the volume stats that you now have. For example, within Ethereum, you have 660,000 ETH in volume, and likewise with BNB using the Binance Smart Chain, 900,000. So they were similar stats relatively. And then you saw things like number of pools that are emerging, moving towards 8,000 there. And then on top of that, you have a lot of addresses now with government partnerships as well. So congratulations on all of the success of these numbers. The bots that are staked is increasing, and also the ETH NFT, that experimentation is showing. So what do you anticipate with these growing numbers?
So to be honest, those numbers, some of them actually liquidity mining initially contribute to some of these numbers, but we do see more and more auctions being auctioned on Bounce. I mean, the feeling is different. Like, for example, if you're a token sale platform, you need to work with those projects to set up customization and to like arrange event, like which day you're going to do auction. But after, I think only with Bounce, I have, so basically I control the Bounce Twitter, right? And there are some projects that's running on Bounce Decentralized Auction. So whenever in the morning I wake up, I see a lot of people project tweet us, and I can open it. I saw, oh, this project I've never known, and they create an auction pool on Bounce, and they're running auction, and they put Bounce URL on it. That's the kind of achievement I'm very satisfied with. I'm not very happy with, like, I work with a project, help them to build an auction, and then they raise money. I mean, that's, for me, the human element is too much in that state. I prefer to let project just do it and basically paste your URL, and there you go.
So automation is really the fundamentals, especially as you're moving towards that true decentralized model where, yes, you're the founder, but you're not the CEO, for example, as we've seen with the likes of things like Synthetix and even YFI through Andre. So, you're really clearly building for the future here. But what about, as we've alluded to before, those potential copycats that are using seeing the privilege of the open source code? Are there any specific poker something related startups? Because we're hearing suggestions out there. I certainly read comments that perhaps there are code copycats that have really looked at your code and thought, we can do the same?
So I think the copy of the decentralized auction is at the very first phase. So we do see some project they're doing the fixed swap auctions.
Like what?
For the
like
platform. I mean, a lot of project offers that, like Puzi, Polkastarter, but I haven't looked at their contract, but it looks for me that they're still controlled by the team. I mean, they haven't offered the functionality that anyone can create auction on your platform and you basically display everything. There's not a project after Bounce I've ever seen which can do that. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, if you, it might be easy in contract, like you just open the authorization for anyone can create auction. But on the front end side, you're basically building a eBay. When your pools reach, for example, like us, reach 5,000 pools, how do you manage those data? You need to basically use Infura and also the graph to do all sorts of things. Right. I think the copy are at a state which they take the tools and they build a token sell platform. I wouldn't call them decentralized auction. And I haven't seen any progress of building the higher level auction like COB, the English, and Dodge auction in decentralized auction space, except us.
Okay, well, let's talk about Option Room then, because we saw that dual nature that was announced recently, the connections between yourselves and also Polkastarter. So what are your thoughts on that, given this discussion specifically?
Like I think it's a good the dual token sell it's very healthy because it gives people there's one difference between although the token sell itself it's the same, but there's one difference experience between participants. For the Bounce certified for Option Room, although it's I mean partially centralized, but for participant they will be able to see all the contract addresses, and they can track all the winners' addresses, and also they need to manually basically put in token and they need to manually claim it. Our team, we do not hold any token from the Option Room project or from the users. It's all smart contract oriented. The process is basically the Option Room team, they apply the certified and we certify them. Then they will receive an approve button. So they will approve the spending limit to our contract. Okay. Not like they send us the token and then our contract will automatically.
So it's all automated and all transparent, but I just wanted to interrupt because you mentioned that there's no holding of tokens. But do you think that other teams are doing that anywhere, that kind of approach? And if they are, why would they do that?
I think some of the teams, they manually distribute token. I mean, there might be many reasons. One could be it's too costly to do it through the decentralized format, or they haven't have this basically contingency set up within their auction to basically let smart contract do everything. Basically, it's still human interference in the auction process. So I think, but I still think everyone should just let smart contract do as much things as possible instead of distributing token, because collecting people's Ethereum is not a difficult thing. I mean, it's the simplest thing for smart contract. You just take, but you need to basically insert a brain, the auction brain, into the smart contract so it can sort of, this address will have this amount of token, and when this address claimed from me, I will authorize and give it to them. Not like the smart contract take all the nodes and hand it to the team. Team will be like, okay, this person 200, like this kind of process shouldn't happen in DeFi space.
Got it. Well, hopefully, there isn't that kind of malacting that is we do see prevalent in the past happening. But are you also concerned about any potential copycats of your own code? I know I keep asking about that, but I want to know: do you know of anything like that that's happening where, because of the open source nature, maybe there may be teams doing this and then taking it to another level that you don't like? But again, this is an open source sort of scenario that's really challenging for people who've been working on the code from the beginning.
So I think I've posted a recent article about. I'm not very satisfied about the direction which the decentralized auction is going, because for one thing, like all the token sale platforms, they made a lot of access for those participants, and people start to blame Bounce. They said, okay, you guys have a lot of scams running on the platform, and also project Bounce didn't perform very well. But this is decentralized auction, so you need to embrace it and try to find the best out of it, instead of going back to the old fashioned, which everyone start to create another token sale platform. That's like people didn't learn anything since 2017 after 4 years doing the same shit. Except just connecting your MetaMask. It's not what I'm going to see. But I had a lot of pressure when I saw other platforms taking off with just a simple functionality to run token sale, while we've offer almost all types of auctions, and people lose interest. So those competition are quite. I had a lot of pressure with them.
So does marketing play a big role in that, Jack? Because we've seen
that's why we have to create this operation called Bounce Certified to basically fulfill the needs of people who want to do token sale format but still using our auction. I do that not because I want to build a token sale, because I want to promote other types of auctions. So in the future, more project will come to Bounce Certified, but with Dutch auction, English auction. And
so being certified is really the big thing here, making sure the integrity is built in. But let's just say some names. So Polkastarter is out there in the space, and now we see the likes of Poker Market as well. So they are playing the game of entry. They're out there, they're known, and perhaps they may not be necessarily endorsed by the very core of Polkadot. That's for sure. They'd have to talk to the teams on that. They are there, and they're functioning in whatever respect and capacity. And as you mentioned before, like there's a strength of the sort of Euro-Asian support of these two startups. So what is your position on those?
So I'm very happy for Polkastarter's launch. I think they've done a very good job doing marketing and get a lot of projects on board. And those projects have made a lot of access. But one thing which I want to point out is being a token sale platform is not decentralized auction platform. I think this really confuses people, because a DeFi is decentralized finance. That means if you do one thing, any other people should be able to do the same. But on platform apart from Bounce, people cannot create auction on your platform. You basically manage the key. So you cannot be DeFi if you are just being that.
So what?
Open.
So why all the hype then? Because obviously I'm well aware of it, and I'm trying to be agnostic right across the space in representation, support, and even investing. So, and clearly Polkastarter has a lot of hype and a lot of marketing strength. Is that what's perhaps lacking a little bit with Bounce Finance? Or is that going to be something you build in as best you can as the quality and the integrity becomes more overt as you list more quality startups? Well, essentially through the auction.
Yeah, it definitely. I think we lack a lot of marketing since we launched, mainly because, if people follow the project, we're probably building the most stuff in the auction space. Over the past 5 months, we've delivered 9 types of auctions on the Bounce decentralized platform, and we have a full documentation of each of them, how to use them, how to participate. And we have like on-chain governance, and also we have a solid token economics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely, I do agree we didn't put a lot of marketing effort, mainly because my first step is I just want to build an infrastructure first, and then I've nothing to marketing about, like at that time. Like, how do I show like show some ideas I'm going to do in the future? That's not my style. So
no, it isn't. And
I just want to basically build everything and let people to check out and to see whether it works or not. If it doesn't work, then it's fine. But if it works, I really appreciate it. So
got it. So team, tech, and then beyond. That's the order you've put it in. And clearly, now that you do have some of those big backers with you, and I mean biggers in reputation too for DeFi, I would imagine that you will get a significant amount of support from the vast network that is Ethereum and even in Wi-Fi, because there is a crossover in support for those two communities.
Yes, I think so far we haven't speak too much with a lot of other DeFi developers, mainly because we just finished the infrastructure and we are in process of open source it. But in the future, we definitely welcome the DeFi developers to build things around the toolbox, which Bounce Finance offers. And that's where things will go, I think, in the right direction. So my dream is to let anyone can build their token sale platform in minutes. So
got it.
So yeah.
Well, Consensus must be happy with that, because as you know, Jack, they are the sort of the toolbox for Ethereum in many respects. They have the tool suites to make things very seamless for all kinds of different blockchain designs, actually, all the way from, your permission to permissionless, and all the experimentation with the permissionless but also private. We see, in some respects with the initiatives from Baseline, making sure some protections are put in place as they can utilize the permissionless value of Ethereum for business. But then, from that, you're obviously getting a lot of respect in the industry for trying to add that certification layer. But what about bot itself? Because recently you published an article that said that there'll be a migration from the BOT ticker and token to auction. So what's happening there? And what does the migration mean for bot holders?
Okay, so one thing, for this migration has nothing to do with the token economics. It's just a token metrics change. So for the token economics, currently we've reached the max, the liquidity mining cost, which means there's no daily deflationary, and there's transaction fee being burned on daily basis. Depends on the usage of the platform. So it's in the deflationary mode. The main purpose for token migration is for liquidity. So we haven't thought about that until recently, because we see the bot token, because there's only less than 30K number of bot token in the market. It's quite expensive per unit. It's almost like it's $1,500 per unit.
That's because the supply was very low that you created.
Yeah, that's because the supply is very low. And if you look at the order book on exchanges, it's not very thick. So the bad thing for that is if people ever want to use your platform, to apply, to participate, or to stake, they're afraid to buy, because the low liquidity means you will have the risk of not being able to sell it off after you use it. So we want to break this into small pieces to bring more liquidity. And also our ticketer will change from bot to auction, and it's in the process. And basically exchanges will dislist bot and list auction, I think.
And what's the ratio, Jack? If you don't mind asking.
It's 1 bot to 100 auction, which at the current price, one auction should be around $15. $15, and actually fulfills one of my dreams, which is I want to claim this basic. Whenever our new ticketer is called auction, and I think that's a little bit like a play for me, because I'm pretty confident that we've reached a state which Bounce Finance is the decentralized auctions protocol in the DeFi, just like Wi-Fi is asset management, Synthetix is synthetic, and Aave is basically the lending. I think we're at a position. Yes, the auction house for DeFi, and that's why I want to name the token auction, so it reminds people there is auction in the decentralized finance, not only lending and borrowing.
Yes, it's interesting. I put a tweet out today that said bot, and then I put the ticker indicator of auction there just to pique people's interest, because it is an interesting thing that you have named it that. It's very clear now. And clearly the idea here is to make sure that the token is useful. We've seen that governance tokens, for example, come out with a strong narrative. We've seen the questions come up for some security or quasi-security tokens in the past that were confusing and looked like they were alleging they were utility, but perhaps not from the SEC standpoint. So, are you confident that your token, in terms of design, is specifically built for utility?
Yes, exactly. Like there are several features of Bounce auction token. So the first is obviously the governance. The platform is driven by the governance, and you can use it as a voting power. That's the primary utility for a DeFi token. And the second one is it offers stakers a part of transaction fee. So right now, if there's one Ethereum transaction fee earned in the Bounce protocol, half of them will be used to automatically buy bot from the Uniswap and burn it to the burn address, and the other half will distribute to stakers. Mm-hmm. And this is the second, I would say, like income generating feature of bot. And the rest of features include you have to use bot token to be able to create a high level auctions, like Dodge auction or English auction. You need to hold certain token, and also for some pools, you need to hold token to be able to access. It provides some privilege for bot holders. And in the future, we'll do more stuff like. We're launching the Bounce NFT marketplace in the future. So in the future, you can use bot token to do stuff related to NFT, like list your NFT. All sorts of stuff. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot utility for Bounce, and I think now Bounce token is powered by both certified and Bounce decentralized. And when we add the third piece, which is Bounce NFT, and the fourth piece, which is Bounce Polkadot, so all four platforms are driven by one single token. And I think there will be enough utility for Bounce.
Okay, Jack. So 4 platforms, 1 token, real utility. Not going to FOMO, but let's just FOMO. Come on. So clearly, by doing the migration, that makes it more attractive even to the speculator. Going down to today's price is roughly $15. That already has an impact straight away psychologically. So Jack, clearly, as you build out your utility, that's going to affect the price. You can't comment on that, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I think. In this crypto world, price is one of the key parameter to measure whether you've built something meaningful. I mean, the market is efficient. If you build something that's really innovative and no one has ever done that, and you keep your progress, I think there will be one day which people will be liking the token and like your project, just like what Synthetix, Aave, and Uniswap have done. I personally believe this market is efficient.
So do you think that you can do potentially what the likes of, for example, Aave's done with regard to just their significant rise, not just in their technological positioning and their stake and place in Ethereum, but just overall with regard to price. I mean, it's definitely correlated over time as it's grown.
Yeah, I mean, the bot price increased quite a bit last week,
that.
And we do see some more usage of the platform. That's kind of thing I want to see. Like when token price increase, it attracts more people's attention. Even they don't buy, they will know your platform and give it a try. I mean, imagine, I think creating your own auction is a cool thing, personally.
I do too, and I think adding staking into it as well, Jack, is quite a great way to also incentivize other members of the broader crypto space to look into the whole system that you've built, because the staking alone implies hodling for the future.
Yes, I agree.
So what about the recent price move? I want to ask you a bit more, because again, you're really known for your transparency when you do speak. The likes of, for example, Calvin Liu, George Lambeth, Stani Kulichov, we mentioned Kain Warwick as well, Parafi and also Blockchain Capital. They are all, of good standing in the Ethereum community. They also have significant networks of their own. We know that. So we noticed that recently there was announcements ahead of some of these backers, and then there was some tweets you put out even that Andre had helped you. Do you think all of that kind of narrative helped the price? What was the reason, do you think, of the price hike?
So the price hike was mainly because we launched Bounce certified, I would say. But I think Bounce certified is the basically start the price rise, because when people see this Bounce certified, it's a new product, and they gradually go back to check Bounce original product, which is Bounce decentralized, and they've seen the infrastructure, and they start to know more about Bounce, and they just compare with other token sale platform, and they know Bounce is more diversified and also more decentralized, and that really start to get people's attention. And the tweet from the people you mentioned, definitely, I mean, they're our investors, and they definitely support us. And also, we're really doing some integration together. So it's not purely shilling, but this year we'll gradually integrate with Aave and Synthetix
really interesting
in some format.
Well, let's discuss that a bit more, because we talked about touched on partnerships a little, but the integrations, which are a better term perhaps, is going to be happening for those who are related to the backers. And then we see the likes of Rocky, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but also and Chainlink, that have been actual partners in the past. So what's coming forward, Jack, in the roadmap? Give us some really, really good stuff that, is going to show people that they probably should be paying attention to this, especially if it's going to be all of DeFi's auction house.
Okay, so I have a very detailed roadmap for this year. So we've already reached our first milestone, which is Bounce certified, and we've built that within a few weeks. That's the January milestone, which we already reached, and now we've started to onboarding project to Bounce certified. And from February to March, we will put attention to the NFT marketplace I described. So you can think it as similar to OpenSea or Rarible, but with cheaper fees, because I really want to offer people a cheaper environment to do NFT stuff. And that's the second milestone. And the third is we will turn the Bounce into a toolbox that includes developer API, and also you can configure your own UI and bring it to your own website for your own facility, your own auction. That's the next milestone. And also, by the time Polkadot start to do their parachain auction, we'll definitely provide them support. So we'll have a Polkadot version to help people to do fundraise for their parachain, and also we'll be able to let project to auction parachain through our website.
Wow.
I think it's a necessary thing to do. And this is a roadmap for the first half of the year. For the second half of the year, I think we will see, we will have enough statistics for all the auctions. since currently there are around 6,000 pools on Bounce, and I think info page is very useful. So we will build info.bounce.finance, not to basically track their auction, but to track projects' progresses once they've done auction on Bounce, and basically to provide the investor with more guidance on how the project did since we launched them. So two examples like Crust Network and Boring DAO, they both did Bounce sealed bid auction back in October, and now they are very they grow quite rapidly, and they're listed on Huobi exchange, etc. I think those kind of information is definitely useful, and we will build that. And also another big piece is we'll open source the Bounce Finance decentralized this year for more people to be able to use it.
That's fantastic. I mean, you've got a lot going on, Jack. That's the reality. And the fact that because of your role, your dual roles now as founder of Bounce Finance and NGC as lead researcher there, you have connections to those exchanges too. So you have your finger on the pulse. You know what the implications are for more increasing liquidity as well. And more importantly, support from a lot of these big names in the exchange domain. But with regard to marketing, I mean, we mentioned pre-interview that Ivan on Tech has been involved in the marketing efforts, which is, fine to mention. We know that he does a lot of paid stuff, and we certainly know that, across the board, he's got a huge platform for introducing people to names. So, perhaps it was a good thing, in many respects that, he creates a discussion in a very vast audience. But what's beyond that, in terms of what are you planning on doing for more marketing and the social network that you have and the social platforms to really spread the name and the narrative of Bounce Finance beyond even just, those mentions from the DeFi community? Is it meant to be organic, or are you going to invest in this with some of the funds allocated for it?
So I would say we've spent less than $20,000 on marketing since beginning. The main reason was for DeFi, I think it's better you have a product and then you start marketing. But I didn't find marketing very effective because for DeFi, if you're not doing a liquidity mining, it's also very difficult to market. And I'm personally not very pro marketing, because I think if you are distinctive, there will be a day which people will find you and promote you. I mean, it's a certain marketing to a certain extent is healthy, but if you only pay attention to marketing, that turns into an unhealthy mode. So the marketing expenses we spend is mostly Telegram's admins. I mean, we pay some admins for Telegram because I'm personally, I couldn't focus if I keep answering people's questions on Telegram.
And obviously you would have had a lot of people wanting to be paid for marketing, because as you know, that's a commonplace scenario. But honestly, Jack, I wish you all the best in terms of pursuing the integrity of the platform, and then the organic support will come. It's clear it already is, with the support you've seen now from Kain, from Andre, from the DeFi backers in the VC space. With George, you're getting a lot of support already, and that's arguably going to continue as you start to really prove what's most important, and that is the code and then the use cases and the experimentation. And yes, there will be challenges. You're going to have a lot because you are not going to vet, but that certification component is really everything. That injects a bit of integrity into knowing that you're focused on making sure you're protecting the future of quality auctions and being the DeFi go-to auction house. So Jack, is there anything you want to say that I've missed? Anything at all where you really want to emphasize this is a game changer potentially?
I just want to point out one thing. So a token sale platform is not a decentralized auction platform. Decentralized auction means anyone at any point can create any types of auction with any type of assets. So we're on the direction to that. It's not an easy trip, but it's not a simply token sale platform. And you can run as many token sales as possible and make so many access, but I believe in the future, only if you have a good decentralized auction infrastructure that you will stay here for longer term, and people will actually start to use you instead of you work with project and have a lot of human interference. So yeah, that's the point I want to make.
Jack, thank you so much for your time. I mean, we've been friends a very long time, but it was nice to then switch into colleagues in this space and explore what you're building. Now, automation is the key as you relax from even that founder role and watch this really unfold organically in the true nature and spirit of DeFi. I wish you all the very best as you move forward, leading out the DeFi Auction House for the future. Congratulations on already garnering a lot of support. I imagine a lot more will come. You've already hinted in a lot of integrations. You've mentioned also testnet experimentation with Polkadot, and most importantly, the liveness of the Ethereum connection there as you move forward, trying to enable more auctions that are legitimate. So congratulations on building this marketplace, on building essentially what is arguably the most competitive and the most new sort of platform of this nature, and looking forward to the update as well, Jack, as you keep building, as we hear more about these integrations in the future and the success, hopefully, of auctions. And most importantly, if there's anyone out there listening and you want to support the endeavors from the outset of coders and of founders, why not look into it? There'll be links below with all the socials related to Bounce Finance and related obviously to Jack as well. So thank you again, Jack, for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.